So hopefully everyone can see my screen. And if you go to our shared drive, if you remember how to get there, we're going to go to drive.google.com. And now in our drive, we're going to go to shared drives right here. And if you've created other drives, you'll see a list of all of your drives here, but we're going to go to that Learning Lab for G Suite. And we're going to click on that. So one of the great things that you can do when you've got your Google Drive, your shared drive, is I like to create different folders for my different weeks or my different classes or whatever I want to do. So I created a folder for week 2, and I put some things in there that we're going to be talking about this week. So if you notice, I've got a jam for week 2, which is a Jamboard that we're going to look at. I've got a Google Slides slideshow that we're going to take a look at. And I've also got a Google form that I created as a quiz, which I thought would be interesting for people, because that's one thing that you can do with Google Forms. You don't just have to create it as a form, you can create it as a quiz. So we're going to take a look at these 3 apps today. And if we've got time, if you have other specific questions and there are things that you'd like to know, we can talk about that in the time that we have remaining. But, you know, we're just going to be kind of free form today. We're going to share some ideas. We're going to get to play with some things today. But let's jump right into Google Jamboard, because a lot of people might not know what Jamboard is. A Jamboard is a way that we are going to be able to share like a whiteboard, an idea board with our students, or you can have your students do their idea board on their own. So you can go ahead, and if everyone has access to that jam for week 2, you can go ahead and open it up. And now I see Sarah's on the Jamboard and a few other people are on the Jamboard. And I'm not going to share my screen because then you'll see my screen instead of the Jamboard. So yeah, so people are already starting to write on the Jamboard. That's great. So if you notice on the left-hand side, we've got a bunch of tools. We've got a pen tool, which somebody's already using to write with, and you can write with that pen tool, and you can change your colors. So if you click on that pen tool and you hold on to it for a bit, you can change not only the colors, but you can change the thicknesses. So I can change it to a marker. I can change the color to blue, for example, and I can write a little bit thicker. I can change it to a highlighter, and the highlighter is great because then any text that you have underneath is going to show up, right? And then I can also change it to a paintbrush, and I can change my colors with the paintbrush. It's more like a watercolor brush, so you can see other things. Ni hao to you too. That must be Chen who wrote ni.
Yeah, that was me.
And now I think you can also write in foreign languages if you wanted to do that. So let me see if I were going to write in Russian. Let's see if I can write in Russian. So yeah, I can also write in Russian, and you can write and then you can move things over and you can make them bigger or smaller. You can tilt them if you'd like to. And that's a really nice feature. So a lot of times what I do when I do the sticky notes is I'll have students do brainstorming with the sticky notes. So I'll ask them, you know, what are some things that you would like to talk about today, right? And then everyone will use a sticky note to write down something that they might be interested in. And then the great thing about the sticky notes is then we can kind of either place them in different areas so that we group them, or we can change the color of them. So if I click the three dots on my sticky note, I can edit it and I can change the color of it. So I can change it to pink, for example, and I can move it around. So we might have all the pink sticky notes be one concept, all the green, and then we can do voting on it. So, so if I were doing a facilitation, I might do a vote. And then when people vote on something and they like it, we might tilt it sideways so that now we know that that's something that everyone likes, right? So there are lots of different things that you can do for a facilitation if you're, and the nice thing is to just play around with it. So as you can see, we've got sticky notes, we've got images that you can add, and you can add images. If you click on an image, you can even search a Google image search if you wanted to find something. So if I'm looking for a smiley face, I could find, oops, I typed it in Russian, so it didn't come up with anything. I always forget to change. So it's a great way to get students interacting like immediately. And you see how fast it is. And there's my smiley face that I have, and I can make it bigger. Or I can make it smaller. So now I can make it really small. I can put it on top of something. So, and that's a way that you can vote as well. If you have like a bunch of smiley faces, let's say that I wanted to duplicate that smiley face because I wanted to put a smiley face on every concept that I liked. So if I click on the smiley face, I can hit duplicate, and now I have another smiley face. Now I can put it on another concept that I like. Right? So practice with that. Copy a smiley face if you want. You don't have to use a smiley face. You can use a star, which is nice. You know, you can star something. All kinds of different things that you can do. The other thing that you can do, I'm just going to go ahead and add another blank page here. It's going to be the second page. And if you notice up at the top, you'll see there's 1 of 6. So this is the first page of 6 pages. And I'm going to jump over to the next frame by clicking on the arrow at the top. And now I've got another blank page, right? And I can use the geometric shapes tool, which is below the add image tool. So I can choose a circle or a square or something like that. And I can start making areas for people to either add content to, or, you know, if we wanted a flow chart or something like that. So there are all kinds of things that we can do with that. I can add an arrow if I wanted to say that something was, you know, maybe leading to something else, right? And people have already seen the way that you can add a text box, and text is very nice. So I can add a text box, and then I can also move things around. I can move a text box around very easily. I can just grab it and I can move it somewhere. And then I also have a laser pointer. So if I wanted to highlight something, but I didn't want that thing to stay forever, I could say, okay, everyone, take a look at this triangle, and I can circle the triangle, and then it disappears after I highlight it. So it's really simple. It's a very simple interface. It's really nice to use. I can zoom in, I can zoom out at the top. The other thing you can do is there are lots of templates that you can use. So if we take a look at the third frame, you'll see what I did is I just imported a template that I happened to get from canva.com. And canva.com is a really useful site, if people don't know it, where you can actually, and I have it showing right here. So I'm going to share my screen with you and show you what canva.com looks like. Okay, so let me go to Canva if I have it open. That's Slides Mania. There's, here it is, Canva. So if you go to canva.com, you can log in, or you don't have to log in. And then I can search for anything. And what I've searched for is online whiteboard. And if you search for online whiteboard, you'll see there are all of these options, and you can actually download a lot of these for free. So if you wanted students to talk about a retrospective, like what went well, what didn't go well, action items, you could download these, and then you can embed them directly into your Jamboard. And there are lots of these to give you ideas. Here's one, the Kanban board that I used, and I love my Kanban board. It's it keeps track of like what I have to do and what I have done already. So it keeps me on task, right? And that's great for a student group who's working on a project. And there are lots of other options for the online whiteboard that some of them cost money, some of them, most of them, many of them are free. So like this one's a paid one, you'll see. It's kind of cute though. But you know, it's very easy for you to produce something like this. So which office pet should we get? They're really nice for icebreakers at the beginning of a class or something like that. And I'm sure that everyone can think of ways that you could use this, where you would just invite your students to maybe the first 5 minutes of class to do a kind of a brainstorming session. where they would actually be able to give their input, and it's really fun. So it's super easy to use and to download different things. So I'll download one just to kind of show you. Here's a free one that I'll download. And this is an affinity diagram. And it's got a bunch of categories, and you can change the names of the categories if you want. And you can change them here. That's the other great thing. Let's say I don't want this exact thing. I want to create one and then download it. I can do that as well. So if category 1 was, I don't know, novels, and category 2 was TV shows. And I'll leave the other ones, but you can imagine what you would do. And I can also decide if I wanted to delete all of these and start with a fresh. Let me see if I can select.
So Mike, I have a question about this.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to change those titles on Jamboard, and I don't have access. So do you have to do the title changes directly in the Kanban side?
So you'll do the title changes. I just did those so you kind of get the hint of it.
Yeah, I understand. I was just curious.
Yeah,
okay.
You would create it in Canva.
Okay.
And you'd get rid of everything that you didn't want, because what I've done is I've created a background image, and I'll show you how to do that in a sec. So let's say that everything was the way that I wanted to, and I like the way it is, and now I want to embed this in my Jamboard. So I'd hit download, and it's going to ask me if I want it as a PNG file, and that's how I want it. And so it's going to prepare it, it's going to download it, and now I've got it. And now all I need to do is, in my Jamboard, I'd create a new area, a new frame. And the way you create a new frame is I'll click on this frame bar. And now you notice it shows all of my frames. But now I can add one wherever I'd like. So I'm going to add it here as my third frame. And I'll click on Add Frame. And now it's added that frame. And now I can go to it. And now here I am. And then what I do is I set it as the background. And once you set it as the background, and this is a key because you don't want your students messing with it if you've created it, and now you don't want them to delete that stuff. So now I'll choose Set Background, and I'll go to Image, and I'll add that image, and I'll browse over, and I'll find it. It's in my downloads, I hope. There it is, Affinity. And there it is. And that's the one that I fixed in Canva. So yes, if you're going to create one, you'll want to modify it in Canva and then download that PNG. But it makes it super easy for you to modify it in Canva. Now, it's not to say you couldn't build this yourself, but it just makes it easier if you do it in Canva, if you find something close to what you like. And now you can just start writing in it, right? So if I wanted to add a sticky note, I could say, Jane Eyre is one of my favorite novels. And now I can kind of stick that in here, and I can shrink that down because I don't want to take up too much room, right? And then other people can add theirs if they want. So, it's super user-friendly, super easy to use. And you'll notice you can have up to 20 frames per Jamboard. So you can have it be like this one is an animated GIF. So you'll see the main idea keeps getting underlined. So you can add animated GIFs as backgrounds, or you can add animated GIFs as just images that you're using. And you can also give students the opportunity to build their own, to do things like create an elevator pitch, and then they can work as teams to make sure that they're doing something like that, right? And so if you take a look at Canva, it'll give you lots of ideas for different possible backgrounds that you can use, but it's just as easy to use it by, this makes it look nice, but you could very easily say, okay, I'm going to create a blank Jamboard. I'm going to create a blank window here. I'm going to go to it, and then I'll just type in what I want people to do. So
you could easily import PowerPoints, for example, as
exactly.
Photographs, right?
Exactly. So you can do that very easily. You can export a PowerPoint as a JPEG, and then you can use that as your background. And then people can go ahead and they can mark that up as well. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to stop sharing and see if there are questions.
Can you please show how to copy something on the Jamboard again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
So
you.
to copy on the Jamboard, I'll go ahead and share my screen again. So let's say what I like to do is I like to, let's say that this was a list of ideas, like a brainstorming session. So what I like to do is I like to give people at the end, after the brainstorming, an opportunity to vote, to upvote what it is that they like, to decide that, right? So what I would do is I would go ahead and add an image, and I'm going to say, star, and I'll look for a star. So here's a star. This is a very easy star to do, and I'll say insert. And hopefully, oh, well, that's unfortunate. I was hoping it was going to be, oh, no, it is. Okay, so it's a transparent star. So now I've got that star, and I say, okay, so now one person liked that star. But now if I click on the star, I see the three dots right next to the star, and I click on that and I can duplicate it. And now I've got another star, and I can move that to the corner. And you could build that at the beginning if you want. So I can just keep duplicating, and I can say, okay, everyone, grab a star and move it where you like to. And they don't even have to duplicate it if they don't want to. You can duplicate that, and then they can now move it around as they like. So it's really, and you can create games that way. You can create really easy ways to vote for things. So that's a really fun thing to do. Good question. Other questions?
Thank you.
So Mike, is Canva related to Google? Is it just for these things, or is just another site that's good at this stuff?
So Canva's great for infographics. It's great for doing like digital posters, things like that. It's a really great site. It's, you can see there are lots of templates. So you have Instagram stories, you've got Facebook posts, you've got lots of things. You've got lesson plans, worksheets. But one of the things that it does is it also does digital posters. So lots of different posters. And so the nice thing is, let's say you wanted students to take a look and create a digital poster for a class. So they could say, okay, here's Nutrition Week, the benefits of fruit. This one's free, so that's good. I'll click on that. And it's the same exact thing as I showed you before. So Canva is super interactive. I can click on the pineapple, I can get rid of that, and I can create my own entirely different poster. It might, I might just find something I like, a format that I like, but I can make this about anything. So I could make this, plants of the world, right? I'm doing that for you, Beth. So plants of the world, and then you can say,
Got it.
Succulents, right? And now all of a sudden I can start pulling in pictures, and I can add those, and it's super easy. It's super fun. And then students can share those with each other, but it doesn't necessarily, and then you can do whatever you want with it. Once I've created it, I can download it, right? And I can download it, and then I can embed it in a Google slideshow. I can make it the background for a Jamboard, or I can just, have it be an image that I share with my colleagues, right?
So it is a JPEG or a PNG, so the students can't switch this out and edit it. That's just within Canva.
That's just
so
within
it's
Canva.
Right. Okay, I get it.
Exactly. Canva gives you all of those options, right? So you want to do it in Canva, and then you want to export it as a JPEG or a PNG. And some of them let you export it as other things. So let me see if I were done with this one. Then I can download it, or I can share the link to it so that other people can actually edit it if they wanted to, which is kind of nice.
So I have a question about that.
Yeah.
When you port that into Jamba and put it on a page, you initially had just used it as a JPEG. You imported it as a JPEG, but this is kind of related to what Beth Chambers was just asking. Couldn't you just import the whole poster and then modify the text that way? So,
well, no, because the poster itself is going to be it's going to be frozen as a JPEG. It's imagine like it does a snapshot of it.
So you can only import it as a JPEG then. You couldn't import the raw elements.
You can't, unfortunately, you can't import the raw elements. So if you wanted to do something like that, The nice thing to do, and I'm going to be showing you in a little bit, is doing that in like a Google slide. And that's where you really can do that, where you would create a template in Google Slides, and then you'd be able to kind of edit that and make that work for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're going to be taking a look at Google Slides in just a minute. Other questions? So yeah, I mean, that's part of why I wanted to show you Canva, because it's a really nice tool, and it works nicely with Jamboard, and hopefully this will stimulate some ideas. But since you asked about being able to do this, you know, in a Google product, we're going to take a look at Google Slides, and we'll see how you might be able to do that in Google Slides. So let's go over to Google Slides. So now I've also got a Google slideshow. It's Slides Mania that I'm featuring this time. So if you want to click on that Slides Mania thing, you'll take a look and you'll see that I've done something similar where I've imported a template from Slides Mania, but now the import that I've done, Jeff, is now going to allow me to edit it in Google Slides. So this is another website. It's called Slides Mania, and I'm showing it to you right now. It's also free. And you can do lots of different things with it. So there are interactive templates, there are notebook styles. So if you find something you like, you can absolutely now download that. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit continue. Oh, actually, let's see. So now I would open in Google Slides. I would just open it up in Google Slides, right? So when I open it up in Google Slides, you'll see now what I've done is I can use this template. And now it'll open up in Google Slides and I can completely edit everything in here. So it's different than so you can type your introduction in here. Well, this one doesn't seem to be working too well. Some of them are selectable, some of them are not for some reason. So you notice how these are, but for some reason this is your title is not editable.
Does that carry over from your title? Is it linked? Does that text change when you change the title?
Well, let's see. It might. No, it's just being weird. Anyway, it probably has instructions on how to do it. But I was like too quick to do it. And some of them are going to work better than others. Title 2, who knows? But the one that I wanted to show you, I just downloaded a random one, but the one that I wanted to show you that you can edit completely is this notebook, right? And so now somebody's actually started writing, and I can edit this one completely, right? So this is, I can change this to like Mike's notes. Right? And then I can go to my next slide and I can start typing in my journal, right? And the great thing about this is if you wanted each student to have a journal and you wanted each student to have something that they actually produce themselves, remember I was showing you that trick about the copy last week. You can do the same thing here. So if you didn't want students to edit this, if you wanted them to just copy it, you could type in the URL, instead of, you see where it says edit slide ID, if you put in copy, and now I'm going to share this link with my students. And I'm going to say, copy this, and they won't be able to mess with it. And they'll make a copy and it'll appear in their own Google Drive, right? So then they won't be able to mess with it. They'll just get a fresh copy of it that they can edit, which is really a great trick. The other thing that you can do, which is a really nice trick, is if you wanted to share the presentation after you finished, but you didn't want them to see all this junk on the side, where it has all the slides here and everything, instead of edit at the end of the URL, you type in present. And now it's a presentation. And now nobody can get to those slides, the edit slides. And now I can just go right through my presentation. So that's something that you can download as a template from Slides Mania. And there are a bunch of other ones. I'm going to share with you a video of somebody showing you some of the more intricacies of Jamboard when I send people the information about this session. And in it, they share a lot of other websites with a lot of other templates and a lot of other opportunities that you can just grab ideas from. But let's say I wanted to start with my own Google site. I mean, my own Google slideshow. So let's just do that. I'm going to go into my drive, and I'm in our week 2 drive, and I'll say drive. Oops, I shouldn't have done that. I meant to hit new. That's okay. I'm going to go to shared drives, and I'm going to get back to it by clicking on the Learning Lab for G Suite. And I'll go to my week 2 folder, right? And I'll go to new, and I'm going to go to new Google slide, and I'm going to say, I want a blank presentation, or I can do it from a template. And Google has a bunch of templates that you can actually use, and you can play with those. But I'm going to go to a new blank presentation. And you can basically do whatever you want here that you would do in PowerPoint. But the great thing is, again, when I'm doing this, everyone can share it at the same time. Because it's in that folder where everyone can get to, right? So now I can just hit share. And you'll notice all of you have access to it. And I can copy that link to make it easy for you to find. And then I'm just going to go ahead and share it in our chat. And this is what I would do in class, right? So I would make sure that the students could get to something. And then I would share that URL very easily with them in class, and then they could jump right into it. And then I'm going to stop sharing. And now you see people are already in there and they're starting to work, right? And I can create new blank slides for people, or they can create new blank slides, whatever they want to do. And Jeff, here's where, I could create a template if I wanted to, or I could import one. And then students could go ahead and edit whatever they wanted in Google Slides. So yeah, the background for Jamboard really isn't for that, but yeah.
That's cool. I was just curious about its flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And Google Slides is they're very similar. The things that you can do in Jamboard and Google Slides, it's just that Jamboard is a little bit more spontaneous, right? So lots of interesting things to do in Google Slides, and the sharing is really great in Google Slides as well. So one of the things that I can do in Google Slides is I can also do a chat, and you see I have a chat window open here in Google Slides. I've also got this comments, so I can always add comments the same way that I would do in a document, which is really nice. So let's say I was reviewing somebody's slideshow and my students were, or if my colleagues were working on a slideshow together, I can always make a comment. So I'm going to hit comment, and now I'm going to say, is this French? On the bonjour, and I'll say comment. And now that the person can go in and they can see that that has been commented on. And that's a really great feature to make it really collaborative in Google Slides, which, it would be very difficult to do in something like PowerPoint. If you were sharing a PowerPoint, if you're working on a PowerPoint together, you'd have to send them the PowerPoint, they'd have to download it, and they'd have to look at it, and they'd have to edit it, and then they'd send it back to you. And this keeps it very easy. And as you can see, we're all working on it together. So we can do all kinds of editing, and I could take this picture over here and I can say, oh, that's a nice rose. What do I want to do with that rose? I want to actually I want to cut it into a circle. So I'm going to say format, whoops, I'm going to go to, no, not replace image. Where is it? Tools, format, lines, format options, image. Well, I forgot how to do it. But you could cut this into a different shape, which is kind of nice. I can't remember how to do that at the moment. You could animate it. So it's got lots of animation options. So you can have it fade in, fade out. I can enlarge it, whatever I want to do. So that is basically Google Slides. The things that are different about it than PowerPoint that I would suggest are great for collaboration are that the comments and the flexibility of, well, you could do that in PowerPoint also, the flexibility to be able to embed other templates like from Slides Mania, but that's kind of what I wanted to show you in Google Slides. So I'm going to stop sharing. Questions? You want to play around with it for a bit? Am I going too fast? Yeah,
Can I
Chen.
ask? I think I saw on the Google Drives, I saw a poll everywhere.
Yeah, there's a
But
way.
when I tried to look for it myself, I couldn't find it anywhere from where I
So
see
like
it.
you're talking about embedding a poll everywhere poll.
Is that
into Google
possible?
Slides. I think it's still possible. Let me quickly go into my Google Slides and see if I can kind of figure that out. So
Thank you.
add-ons, get add-on. Oh, there is a poll everywhere. Yeah. So I've already got that, and I'll just share it with you. So I'm going to share my screen again.
Okay.
And if people don't know what Poll Everywhere is, it's available to everyone on campus. It's a polling solution that allows you to make all kinds of really great polls. And there's a plugin for Poll Everywhere in Google Slides. So if I go to Poll Everywhere, I can go to insert an activity that I might have created in Poll Everywhere. So let me see if I have one available. So I'll go to activities. And now here's all my stuff. And I've got 13 activities. And I've got, let's see. I don't know what that is, William and Mary trivia. Let's do some William and Mary trivia. And I'll say insert slides. So now I've inserted 17 slides. I didn't know there were that many slides.
So I don't see how I have the add-ons, but my add-ons doesn't take me to Poll Everywhere when I plug it in.
So let's see how you would get the Poll Everywhere add-on. I'm going to go to another window here. I'm going to go to another Google slide. And I'm going to go to a blank one here. And now, are you in Chrome?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So if I go to add-ons and I click get add-ons, let's see what happens if I type in Poll Everywhere. So it's not in the add-ons area. Let's go to tools. It's not in tools. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I think you have to sign in to Poll Everywhere first.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So if you go to, let me go to Poll Everywhere. .com. And I'm going to go, you see, I'm already logged in. So let me see how to embed.
So if we wanted to embed it, we would have to log in and into it and then embed it, correct?
I think so. So
yeah, that makes sense.
And you can just sort of, let's see if I can find, here it is, Google Slides. So you'd add that Chrome extension right from the Poll Everywhere page. So let me share that with you. And then everyone can go ahead if you like to, and you can add that extension into Chrome. And let me find my chat. See that? Answering questions on the fly here. So there you go, and you can have Poll Everywhere embedded into your slides. So let's see, did it do it? Let's see if it did it. I don't think it did it. Maybe because I moved away from there. let me do it again. I'll insert a new one, insert an activity. I'll find an easy one. Let's do a soccer quiz. That's easy. Okay. So, oh, you know what? I don't think I chose, that's what I did. I forgot to hit the plus. So let me go back to activities. I'm going to go to Russian trivia. And I'll say, there we go. And I'll say insert slides. Okay. Hopefully that'll work this time. And it might take a few minutes to insert them, which will give you a chance to download that Google Chrome extension. Other questions while we're waiting for this to insert?
I have a question. How much space do we have in these Google Suite
So
sites?
I used to be able to tell you that it was unlimited space.
Wow.
However, my colleague, Adam Barger, has just sent us a text saying that they're going to stop doing that. So I don't know if anyone knows how much space there is. So that kind of just died. Let me see why it died. I'm going to create a new presentation, and I'm just going to import a really simple one. So there it is, new presentation, pull everywhere, insert, activity, because I don't want to lie to you and say that it works and then it doesn't work, because that's frustrating. So here is my gamification for activities. I'll just click on that one and I'll say insert slides. Oh, that's good. And I'll say insert slides. Okay, so it's successfully inserted because there's only one slide. Okay, perfect. So now it's there and I can present that. So if I hit present, and by the way, I used to tell people that when they're doing a Google slideshow, that they used to be able to scroll down to the bottom and minimize it, but now they can't do it. So that's unfortunate. I can start the timer down here, but now people can go ahead and you can, if you've got a phone, a cell phone on you, you can just start responding.
Wait, so where is this? Is this?
So if you go to
For sure.
pollev.com/mxbloom, you'll see that poll automatically. And that's the great thing about Pollev. It tells you where at the top you would go. You can even use a smartphone or even a dumb phone to respond to the questions. So we've got 100% of, and I can either choose to show the responses or not show the responses so that people don't get that feedback immediately. I can show the correct answer if I want. And then I can show the responses and I can say rewards is the correct answer. Nobody got it right. Right. So, and I can clear the responses and then people can guess again. I can deactivate it if I didn't want people to answer. I can reactivate it. I can show the responses again, and then people can just answer it there. So that's a way that you can embed it into your Google slideshow. A great question, Jen.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, other questions? All right, so Google Slides, there's a lot you can do with it. As you can see, you can embed your poll everywhere polls. You can create, I like to create graphics in it and then just save those files as JPEGs, just as Jeff was saying. You know, it's very easy to create pretty intricate graphics and then, you know, just share them out. It's got lots of opportunities for doing things like making flowcharts and mind maps. So I've got all of these things that I can add. I can add lines. I can add shapes. So I can really build all kinds of intricate designs and patterns, and have call outs. And then I can move them around, right? I can change very easily the colors. So if I didn't want this to be gray, I could change it to a gradient, which looks really nice. And I'll change that to a gradient, right? I could change the border color, or I can change the size of the border. So if I wanted the border color to be blue, I could do that. And if I wanted the border to be 4 pixels, I could do that. And, I'm totally changing. And then the other great thing is I can always copy it. So let's say I wanted something to repeat from one slide to the next. I'll right click and I'll say copy. And then if I create a new slide, I'll just paste it and it'll paste in exactly that place. So now I can just duplicate the same image, because I find that I need to do that a lot. I need to duplicate the same image on the same slide, on different slides over and over again. I can also, in this particular thing, I can change where that little thought bubble or speech bubble is pointing. I can move it all around. So that's a really helpful tool, that shapes area. So the call outs are great. They've got equation editors there. They've got lots of different arrows for you to show different movements and different pathways. So lots of really great stuff that you can use. So I really encourage you to play around with a lot of those options. So we've got about 15 minutes left. Let's jump into Google Forms. So Google Forms, I went ahead and I did the same sort of thing. I created a sample quiz in Google Forms. So here's the Google Forms. Oh, I don't know why it thinks that it's in French. So it's really easy to create a quiz or any kind of a form that students will then be able to respond to. And then the great thing about Google Forms is it puts all of the answers in, if you would like, into a Google spreadsheet that you can then do calculations on or anything like that. So I'm going to send you the sample quiz, and if you can take it, then we can take a look at what happens after students take a quiz, and then we'll go through and I'll show you how to create a quiz on your own or any kind of a Google form on your own. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab the link to that. And let's go ahead and put it in the chat. So it's in the chat, and I'm going to stop my share for a bit and go ahead and take the quiz. It's not a difficult quiz. My plants are almost ready to go in the ground. I'm very happy. That's that weird glow behind me.
You would ask about the 7 dwarves. We're talking like 50 plus years ago here, man.
Well, it's all I could think of when I thought of choosing multiple answers.
Oh, I wasn't muted. So, how did that work? Yeah, you're going to show us how that worked, because it wasn't the same document. I'm like, oh, we're on the same thing.
Okay, everyone's done. Let's take a look. So I'm going to show you a few different things. So let's go ahead and close that down. So now I see 6 people have responded, right? So I'll take it from the end of what happens after you take a quiz and what does the faculty members see after a student takes a quiz or does anything. So one of the great things that you can do, not just a quiz, but let's say you wanted to do a mid-semester check-in to see how students were doing this semester, see what they might be having trouble with, or if you wanted to get kind of any information at all, it's really very convenient. There are lots of different question types. and it makes everything very easy. But if I click on responses here, so now 7th person has responded, and now you'll see, oh, I don't know what happened there. So now I go to responses, and so now I will be able to see a summary of everything. So I see the total point distributions. I see how many correct responses were there to the members of the 7 dwarves. Only 3 people got all of those right. Everyone got the 16th. So I can get those kinds of snapshot views, right? So see how many people got the me versus I correct. And so now I can break down who got the different questions correct. Everyone got Leonardo da Vinci correct. So good. So I can then either, if I don't want to look at that, I can look at a few different things. I can look at it per question, and I can see how people responded to a specific question, or I can look at it through the individuals. So now I say, okay, each of the individuals, and I'll see how individuals did on a particular test. But I can also create a spreadsheet, and you can see that link up here, create a spreadsheet. I'll click on create a spreadsheet, and I'm going to create a new spreadsheet called sample quiz responses, and I'll say create. And now there it is, and it gives me all of the different answers, their scores. Doesn't give me the names because I didn't ask for that, but if you can do that, and you can ask for the student names. And now there are all the answers, and it would give you the student names, and then you can do whatever you want with that. You can even import it into a Blackboard grade center if you wanted to do that, right? So that's what it looks like on the back end. Now on the front end, when you're building the quiz, it's also very easy. So just like everything else in Google, just like you go to docs.google.com or slides.google.com or drive.google.com, we're going to go to forms.google.com. And this is going to take us to our form creator, right? And I can either create a quiz or I can create a form. So if I create a quiz, I have a few more options than if I create just a regular form, but it works similarly. So if I say to create a blank quiz, I can give it a title. So I can say quiz 1. I can give it a description if I want, but I don't need to. And I can give it a title up at the top so I know what it is as well. Quiz 1, right? And now I can start question 1, give it a title. And now I have a bunch of options for what I would like. I can have it be a multiple choice, short answer, paragraph, check boxes, drop down, file upload, which is nice if you wanted students to be able to upload, you know, an essay or something like that, linear scale, multiple choice grid, checkbox grid, or date or time. I don't know how any of those would work, but most of the time you probably want to choose multiple choice. So I'll choose multiple choice, and now I can just say question 1, wrong answer, right answer, wrong answer, really wrong answer, right? And now I can, in my answer key here, I can choose the right answer. Oh, I like that. Option 3 just as option 3. I'll say right answer, and now I can give it how many points. So I'm going to say, I want that to be worth 2 points. And I can even add answer feedback. I can give it incorrect answers. I can say, sorry, Charlie. And correct answers, I can say excellent. Or I could give it an actual explanation, which is useful, right? I can also, I can add a link, and I can even add a video if I wanted to illustrate the answer that I had. And I can say save. And now that option 3 was wrong, so I'm gonna have to fix that. And I can just go ahead and click on that to fix it. Oops, let me see. Quiz 1, option 3. Why is it not letting me edit it? I'll hit done. Oh, once I have to done.
Yeah, you had to deselect the right.
Yeah, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change it. So I'm going to say wrong answer. Right? So that's basically it. And so that's how you would do it. And then you have the answer key. And now you can either decide if it's a required question or not. If it's a required question, you just slide that bar over. and it's a required question. And let's say that I like this format. I can duplicate my questions. So I can hit duplicate, and then I can edit it based on that answer. So it's very simple to use. It's really easy. I can add images if I would like. So if I wanted to add an image, I could do a Google image search, and I'll search for, let's say, dwarves. Well, there's one. Let's choose that. That's Doc. Say insert. So now Doc gets inserted there, and he's too big, so I can shrink him down. And I can say, who's that? Or whatever I want to do, right? I can then import questions if I want. I can add images if I want. And then I would add another question. So you click on the plus to add a new question, and then a new question appears below. So that's how you do a Google Forms quiz. And if you didn't want to have a quiz, if you just wanted to have a regular Google form, and the other great thing is, you notice how I didn't save it. I just clicked away from there. I don't have to save it. It's just right there, quiz 1. It starts me right off where I left off. So I'm not afraid of losing anything. But now if I go back to my Google Forms, I can just start a new blank form, or I've got a template gallery, and I've got a bunch of things that I can actually use as a template. I can open up my template gallery, and I can see there are lots of other options for templates. There are some general templates. There's even like a couple of William and Mary templates, which I didn't know about. But there you have it. So
And Mike, I saw that find a time. I think your time and date was you can use it like the old, like, what was that when you want to schedule something?
Yes. Yeah. And you can do the time and date as well.
I have a question for you on this. I noticed last year during the beginning of the pandemic that y'all had created one of these forms for us to send to our students. And that was very, very nice. And we just sent them the link. So I presume you would just send the link to the questionnaire or the quiz or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't have to add, like if I wanted to do something like this and add a questionnaire for my students, I have like 45 students right now, 44 students. I don't want to enter them all into this.
Right.
So I would just take that link and send it to them. Okay.
Exactly.
And the results from their answering that would then I could just get to it directly by going into the form and clicking on the responses.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. Yeah. Chen.
2 questions, Mike.
Mhm.
One, can we, is there a way for us to know who answered what?
Yes.
And the second question is, if a student answered, used the quiz twice, is there a way to prevent student to take the quiz multiple times?
Yes. When you make people go in and identify themselves, it's one of the options that you'll see there.
Okay.
And then you just choose that it's a quiz and they can only take it once.
Okay. Yeah, that's because most of the time that's what I want to do. It's just
Right.
a single attempt if this is a real quiz.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all. They would log in with their William and Mary email.wm.edu address, and then you would only allow people with an email.wm.edu address to access it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's going to ask you, do you want me to collect the names of the students? And then you say yes, and then you say, can they only take it once? Yes.
Mike, is it possible for you to show me where to find
Let's
that
take a look,
option? Yeah.
and see if we can find it really.
Yeah, I know we run
So
out of time. Yeah.
no, that's okay. So I'm going to go to blank quiz. And so now when I go to my settings, I'll choose collect email addresses.
I see.
And then I'll say limit to 1 response.
Got it. Okay.
In my settings, the little wheel there. And I can even do a response receipt if I'd like. That will send them an email that says that they have completed it correctly. And then if I want, they can edit it after the submit. So it's right there under settings, and then you can do general and make sure you check those. And then you can also decide, there's some other settings that you can choose. Show the progress bar, you can shuffle the question order if you'd like. And then you can change it to a quiz. If you decided that you wanted it to be a quiz, you can make it a quiz, and then it'll allow you. So if you have a form that you made a mistake and you didn't want it to be a quiz, you could make it a quiz after the fact. Okay. And then you can
So
also
much.
decide when to release the grade. So you don't have to release it immediately. You can release it later, which might be nice. And then you can decide what the students can see. So whether they missed a question, the correct answers, and the point values, right? So all of those are possible. But great question. Yeah, and you had another question?
No,
Yeah.
you, oh, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
ahead.
Susanna. I asked all my questions. Thanks.
Okay.
Oh, good. It was just a follow-up from yours, actually. Is it possible for folks from outside of William and Mary to respond as well?
Yes, you just would have to set it so that it's not William and Mary. So same thing. If you saw, I'll show it again, just you might have missed it.
Thank you.
So when you're in that settings area, you can uncheck restrict to users in William and Mary, but you can still collect email addresses.
Thank you.
Other questions? So it's kind of a whirlwind of stuff today, I know, but we looked at a lot of things. Hopefully it was some of it sort of sparked your imagination and you'll be able to use some of it. So next week, and Jeff, you were talking about, do I need to send the student the link? And you can send them the link, but another thing that you can do is have everything on your own website. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to create your own Google website. And all of the things that we've done from the beginning of the course till now is possible to embed it in a website and share the link on a website. So everything's all in one place. And that's what we're going to talk about next time. All right, everyone. It's great talking to everyone. And I will see you next week.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Mike.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.